Finally, I can be in the audience for this. Look at this sneaky shot I'm getting of the three boys.
Yeah. Oh, there's no shot. Hold on. Nope, he's going up right now. Oh, damn!
Yeah! You see that over there?
I saw it.
Testing. So we're just gonna wait probably about 3:05 to see if anyone else is gonna walk on in here. Looks like we already have a lot of people, so yeah, we'll just wait. The more the merrier. Shout out to Toei Spider-Man in the crowd. And shout out to KaijuNoir 621 and Jazzman for Fushino earlier this morning. DangerVille Legends is here.
Alright, shout out to them.
Is that the Chris Cyphers himself in the crowd?
Yeah! Yeah.
And I see the rest of the Monstrosities gang over there. Oh, and special shout out to my oldest brother, Dalton Madole, aka KaijuNoir, for making this music. He also produces the music for her my videos. So, yeah.
Who else in here has a YouTube channel? Raise your hand. Let's get a round of applause for all that.
Wow. And if I recall correctly, the man in the Newton Geisler cosplay from Pacific Rim is astounding beyond belief, who is one of the admins or moderators of Wikizilla, correct? Yep. Thank you very much for your work. Okay, I'm not quite sure who else is in here, so anyway, if you are a content creator on YouTube, shout out to you. So. Yeah!
You're breathtaking! You're all breathtaking!
I know. Love you.
I love you too, man.
So about 4 more minutes and we'll begin. This is already a pretty good turnout. Yeah, sure.
Shout out to my best customer right there. 16th birthday coming up.
I'm not your best customer.
And hey! Let's put this whole thing together.
Sagami, dude.
That's its last name. It's no Ikusagami.
And the bird?
A Monostosities.
My God.
We're all nerds here.
Get another round of applause for Chris, aka Goji Fan 93, for starting this Godzilla YouTubers Panel years ago.
I remember interviewing him for college. That was like, what, 4 years ago now? It's good to hear you from from you guys?
Probably. Okay. Yeah, probably. Okay, it's 3:05. That 3:05. Now let us begin. How has everyone's weekend been? Nice. Okay, so we'll start off by introducing ourselves. My name is Davis Midol. You may know me as the YouTuber TitanGoji.
I am Nathan Grady. You might know me as the Sorry to the Nari guy. Yeah! Contributor on Monstrosities, Tokusatsu vlog. Hello everybody! Welcome to the YouTubers Panel. Heidi-ho!
I am Matt Burkett of Monstrosities Tokusatsu vlog, and I'm just a big fat jerk.
What's up, everybody? D-Man back. Welcome to the Godzilla YouTubers Panel.
Hello, people of G-FEST. This is Andres Perez, aka KaijuNoir, here with the YouTubers Panel at G-FEST XXVI.
What's up, residents? I'm Jacob, and that's...
My name's Alistair, and I'm just happy to be here for my first G-Fest. It's been absolutely amazing.
And together we make DangerVille.
Okay, so I feel like the best place to start is the beginning, where our origins lie. So how were you all first exposed to Godzilla films or anything Tokusatsu related? My first exposure to Godzilla was when my dad took me and my two older brothers to the mall one day. We got Godzilla Save the Earth for the PlayStation 2, and after that he told us about the movie series, and then we got that classic media box set that had the original Godzilla, the US version, with Mothra vs. Godzilla, Rodan, Terror of Mechagodzilla, Godzilla's Revenge. The first one I watched was Terror of Mechagodzilla, and I owe so much to that film, and I just really appreciate it. So yeah.
Like many of you, I was, and also Davis, I was introduced to Tokusatsu in general through my parents. You know, they're the ones who showed me like Power Rangers first, actually. And after that, like my mom and my dad thought, oh, well, I bet he'd like, you know, those old Godzilla movies. So we went to a Blockbuster, rented Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla, good one to start with. Never seen anything like that before. It blew my mind. The moment when like you realize that that's not the real Godzilla, or like when he changed into a cyborg, I'm like, holy crap, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. There's a bit of a tragic part to that because not long after that, my parents got divorced, and that is one of the clearest memories in my mind of our entire family together. Watching this, you know, kooky movie, me looking behind them for like affirmation, like, did that just happen? So I suppose like Godzilla Tokusatsu in general, I associate with the innocence and purity of family. I think that many of you in the audience can relate.
My first stuffed animal out of the womb was a Godzilla. My first Godzilla movie was Godzilla 1985, and it's just been there ever since. So, I love all Tokusatsu, you know, then, you know, it was Ultraman, Power Rangers, VR Troopers, Kamen Rider, all that stuff. And yeah, it's just been a lifelong obsession, and it's been a lot of fun.
I don't really have a discovery point because I was too young to remember. Ever since I was born, my dad's been showing me Godzilla movies, so I've grown up with it as a part of my life my entire life. There has never been a point where I've been alive when Godzilla hasn't been huge in my world, so it's always been there.
He may or may not be the real Godzilla.
Let's see, growing up, I was a huge fan of dinosaurs, like, you know, any other kid. And my parents one day got me a set of VHS tapes, one being Godzilla vs. the Sea Monster, the other being Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla. I saw those two VHS tapes like hundreds of times, and I was never the same again. I ended up adding more and more VHSs and eventually DVDs, while at the same time I grew up with the likes of Power Rangers and Ultraman Tiga, and a little bit of Kamen Rider like Saban's Masked Rider and Dragon Knight. And yeah, after I became more acclimated to the internet, you know, it just opened the doors to a whole world of tokusatsu media. And I was never the same again, and I, you know, never regret diving into this deep ocean of entertainment since then.
Yeah, so just like these guys, if it wasn't for my parents and for my love of dinosaurs, as I was, you know, coming up, growing of age and all that, you know, maybe I wouldn't have found Godzilla, but luckily I found this big, beautiful guy, and from there on out, I just feel like I've been playing catch-up, trying to, you know, I mean, it's 65 years worth of awesomeness, so that's pretty much just where it goes with me.
Awesome. So, I mean, when I was first introduced, when I was younger, like all these other lot, I always loved dinosaurs, and Ray Harryhausen's films like Clash of the Titans and Jason and the Argonauts. I always loved them. And once I went around to my uncle's house, and to distract me, he knew I liked this stuff. To distract me, he was like, "Here's a bunch of Godzilla VHSs, just watch them." And I was like, "Oh, right." I'm like, "Gee, that's wonderful." I fell in love with him almost instantly. And when we went back to my house, they got a call from my uncle. My parents got a call from my uncle. They were like, "Where are all our Godzilla VHSs?" I stuck them in my bag, and they really didn't mind. So yeah, that's pretty much how I fell in love with the franchise.
All right, so starting here on out until a very special presentation from the DangerVille guys we'll get to later. This will be like more discussion based, so I'll mention a question from this paper, and we can all just like jump in like in the conversation and whatnot. What inspired you to become a Godzilla YouTuber? I'm sure like part of it definitely has to do with some previous Godzilla YouTubers, like for Cybers right there, Godzilla 73, Deadzilla, Ultraman Kronos, and whatnot. and I also feel like part of it has to do with the fact that we now live in an age where a lot of people can like have their voices be heard. So yeah, I also feel like that's what like really comes down to when it comes to inspiration. It's like, oh, this other person is talking about this thing that I really like. I can do the same thing. You guys want to add anything to that?
Let's see, I'm just curious, how many of you guys were ever inspired by the likes of James Rolfe, aka the Angry Video Game Nerd, and Doug Walker, the Nostalgia Critic?
Oh, yeah.
So I feel like those guys like really like set the stand for like a lot of people there. It's like, for me personally, it kind of like made that like spark inside my head thinking, oh wow, talking about movies and stuff on the internet sounds like a lot of fun.
Anything you guys want to add?
I grew up listening to Steve Reif and Ed Godziszewski's commentaries and everything like that on the Godzilla DVDs, and I saw their special features, and so I was always interested in more of everything to do with Godzilla, not just the films themselves, but what went into making them and everything like that. So that had started me down a more in-depth path for Godzilla, and then it was actually my discovery of the smaller podcast called the Sons of Serizawa, featuring this guy right here, that back in 2014 made me go, I could probably transition from what I was doing then, which I had a channel since 2011 making gaming videos, into I could totally talk about Godzilla on the internet and hopefully someday get to meet this guy. Now I'm up here on stage with him, so mission accomplished.
You're welcome, internets.
I mean, for us, we've always just, at least been creative people. Even before YouTube, I just wanted to make things based on the stuff I love. And so the idea that YouTube just gives me a platform to just make it for people like me, of course it's just going to fuel creativity and it's going to make you want to make more. So even before Godzilla, we used to make videos for a channel called Halo Follower, if anyone knows what that is. And we did that quite a lot, but we kind of just lost passion about it because the people that came to our videos, they didn't really like us still because we wanted to go to Godzilla stuff, and they could obviously see that. and I think we've found a nice family in the Godzilla community. It's been really welcoming and such a nice community.
I left Channel Awesome and I had a creative void, and so I was like, you know what, it'd be fun to like talk about some tokusatsu stuff, and it just kind of like became a thing. Didn't really watch anybody else. I wasn't aware of anybody else at the time, and then started meeting people like Chris, you know, meeting everybody else and stuff, and it's just, you know, going into this blind, kind of a desert, not really sure what's out there, and then finding like it's very much a thriving, living place, you know, the tokusatsu community, you know, not just Godzilla fans, but, you know, the Power Ranger fans, and the Sentai fans, and the Kamen Rider fans, so, yeah, it was just interest and needed to fill a creative void, and it's been a lot of fun.
For me, I went to school for graphic, web design, branding, that sort of thing. After college, I had a little bit of video work experience, and someone who was trying to film a documentary wanted me to film for a weekend. They liked the experience, so they just made me director. And we were trying to get funding for it and more people involved, and I ended up just doing everything. And at one point, I was operating like 3 or 4 cameras at once, doing audio checks and like 11-hour shoots. And the financier just upped and left. And I was in debt with equipment, so I said, I'm just going to focus on what I set out to do in the first place, never making videos again. But I came across, the first video I ever came across regarding like, I guess tokusatsu, when I was interested in it, was actually Matt's video of a Just Beyond figure. I'm like, what the hell is that? Like that thumbnail is just showing like this chromed out, like cool looking thing. And it was like, you know, a couple minutes long. And the amount that he covered, like it was so efficient, so informative, and just cool and beautifully shot. I thought, there's more. And I just really got into it. And then I saw then I saw the faces, which was Matt, Brian, Max, and Chris, and a few other guys who I haven't met yet. And I just got addicted to watching them because of their chemistry. And they were the only tokusatsu-related YouTube content that I watched, because it felt like, you know, a show, a really high production value, thoughtful, thoughtful content. And then whenever they were coming to G-FEST, I reached out and I said, guys, thank you so much for everything you've done. And if you're around, like, hey, let me buy you a beer. Let's just, you know, shoot the breeze. Just like to say thank you. And we did more than that. We hung out for the whole weekend. We just became really good friends after that. And I flew out to see them one time. We just hung out at a Godzilla party. For those of you who've seen, part of that party was Max opening an LOL figure. We trolled him with it, that was really funny. And we got to talking about the YouTube channel. And the only thing that made me consider being a YouTuber was Matt put it out there. He believed I could do it. And while I had experience shooting subjects, hosting, like actually being in front of the camera is nothing I've ever done before. And it was a really rough start at first. I had horrible camera and audio quality. I had to wait to save up for better stuff. And eventually I got better and better and better, especially with like sound engineering. And I suppose my objective was I want to impress him, because he does such good work. For him it seems easy, for me it's... Okay, anyway. Yes.
I did want to mention, so like D-Man here, you mentioned like a few YouTubers, Godzilla YouTubers, and that inspired him, and the same did happen with me, and I did want to give a massive shout out to Bill Wurster, aka Zazubar. He was one of those individuals that I came across, and along with Dan Wickwire of Kaiju Movie Review, or KMR, seeing those two guys in particular really, I noticed the fact, it was through them that I noticed, oh wow, there's an actual audience for Godzilla YouTubers out there. So like those had a massive impact on me as well. And the last note I want to bring up before is just a shout out to Captain Logan of Geekvolution and Corey Coleman of Spill.com, aka now known as Double Toasted. Those were guys that were a huge influence on me personally in terms of like developing my own style in terms of scripted and unscripted podcast style content. Sorry about that, just need to get it out there.
Hey, you're cool. Okay, so let's
Why we all talk about some of the like some videos that we are very most proud of. Back in May, I actually reviewed every Godzilla movie, including other non-Godzilla kaiju films like Gorath and Atragon. It was just one review a day for the whole month, building up to the release of Godzilla King of the Monsters. And I've honestly never worked so hard on a project. I had to do it like months in advance just to get it done. And technically it was I also finished it last minute because I would be reviewing King of the Monsters the day it came out. So yeah, that's something I'm very proud of on my channel. What about you guys?
I mean, it's funny because our channel pretty much became big because of our dinosaur content, which is what we originally did. DangerVille kind of started off as a platform for us to just do anything we loved, and then it kind of slowly
turned into Godzilla after some time. So really what we started off doing was we had a lot of fun doing the research, learning as we make videos in efforts of teaching other people maybe some stuff about dinosaurs. So that was always really fun. And then we moved into Godzilla, and we were able to learn about the really deep history of everything Godzilla. So we kind of took that original style of, what goes into a T-Rex, but now we're doing it with, Godzilla, and how a suit was made, or how the roars were made, and all that. So that was really a big part, and kind of a thing that I enjoyed really a lot, yeah.
And as for stuff we're proud of, I mean, obviously there's some dinosaur fact stuff we're proud of, because we like being able to learn new things. I mean, even if you're learning new things with the videos, and we're learning new things making them. But as for the ones I'm probably most proud of, it's probably the animations. One you will see very soon, Walking with Godzilla, which if anyone's seen, or not seen, you will see it. That took me a good 7 months to make, and I'm pretty proud of the outcome, and I hope you like it, but yeah.
I think back in 2015, I started a series of reviews covering every single special effects heavy Toho film of the 80s and 90s. And I feel like it was at that point I was really starting to get a hold of my style of script writing for when it comes to scripted reviews. And to this day, I'm still very proud of how those reviews came out and how I was able to learn how to articulate my thoughts in a more elaborated manner, more detailed manner. The other thing that I'm very proud of was my History of Gundam video that I did, which has performed beyond my expectations. Me being a huge fan of the Mobile Suit Gundam franchise, my second favorite franchise after Godzilla. I've always wanted to make a video helping newcomers to the franchise to get into Gundam, and because it's so massive with so many continuities, I felt I just wanted to make a rather condensed, straightforward, to-the-point video explaining what Gundam is and just how many versions there are. And a lot of people have thanked me for saying, oh wow, I never really Gundam felt too big for me, too daunting of a task to get into, but this video really made it feel clear, and I'm just very happy that my video was able to have that effect on.
I was one of them.
Yeah.
I was too. I saw that actually fairly recently.
Oh wow. Really?
I watched it actually 3 times over the course of a day, I believe.
Oh, okay.
I like to bounce stuff while I work. That was a very good video, my friend.
Thank you very much, man. I appreciate it.
I learned something.
I kind of make a habit of not watching my videos, never revisiting them. So
I wonder why.
Yeah. I guess some of the ones that I'm proud of in retrospect, I made a Haruo Nakajima tribute back in 2017 when he passed away. That's one of the few videos that I will revisit, and then my recent-ish interviews with King Ghidorah actors from King of the Monsters, such as Alan Maxon, Jason Lyles. I'm excited for any of the upcoming projects I'm going to be doing with those guys, so those are the kinds of videos that I'm proud of.
You were the first one to actually reach out to those guys, right, and actually do interviews with them?
I was the first person to get an interview with Alan Maxon, and I believe I was one of the first for Jason Lyles, if not the first.
Those are the mocap actors for King Ghidorah from.
Shout out to Alan
They
Maxon.
really do deserve the credit.
Hey, Derek, can you say that again? I couldn't quite hear that, and I don't think they can hear it either.
He said, shout out to Alan Maxon, Jason Lyles, TJ Storm, and Richard Dorton. They are the guys who brought to life King Ghidorah and Godzilla in our favorite King of the Monsters movie.
Probably like 5 years ago, Bandai decided to make an SH Figuarts of Sadako, the dead girl from the Ring series. I'm a really big Ring movie fan, and I wanted to actually review that toy. And it gave me a really weird excuse to recreate the Ring video and then make the review look like it had like this VHS overlay on it. And you know, like it might not be like technically like great or anything like that, but I had a hell of a time just like putting it together. It was a lot of fun. And it, you know, it's half a decade old at this point, but I still kind of point to that as like I had the most fun with that. And recreating the Curse video was just like, yeah, it's cool.
I think as far as like what I'm proud of the most is probably like the last video I did before like I just got too busy with life stuff was you know, like more Kaiju in the Monsterverse. People wearing headphones can probably appreciate it more, but like the level, like I pull out all the stops for like my editing ability and sound engineering. There's like layers of like transitional sound, like including like earthquakes and gravel as like monsters like rise out of the ground. I really went all out for that one. I just said like, you know, I'm gonna take everything I've learned in this video and do it. And I learned a lot from doing that. While I'm a creative professional, it doesn't mean that I know everything, and he has a lot to teach especially, so oftentimes like when I'm trying to think of like what to do next, I just, you know, like the Sadako video, I think, okay, how would he transition this? So I felt like I took everything I learned from him and did it in that video, and I'm pretty proud of that one.
Okay, so let's. How about we all talk about the approach we have when it comes to like making videos, as well as like some of the challenges we face along the way. Copyright. Yeah.
And Bandai.
Okay, so aside from being scared that we'll get sued by Toho and can't do anything with Godzilla anymore, my personal approach is basically like talking about what no one else is talking about. Really, that was part of my inspiration when I like did a ton of movie reviews back in May, because no one's really talking about Gorath, Atragon, or War of the Gargantuas, or Space Amoeba these days, really. Speaking of which, I just reviewed Yamato Takeru not too long ago. It's a pretty underrated film. You all should go check it out. Orochi the Eight-Headed Dragon. And as you said Friday, one title sounds cooler than the other. So that's basically my general approach when it comes to like making videos. I'm sure you guys like have something different aside from like just sharing your love for a not only a film franchise but like an entire subgenre of films in general.
What I've learned is if I just try to follow a trend, I tend to have little passion for the video I'm about to put out. But those are also necessary, you know, to keep content out there. You can't just not report on it. But the videos I like, and the challenge that I try to impose upon myself is how can I make this interesting, entertaining, and informative? By the end of the video, have you learned something that you didn't know? Have you maybe reconsidered a position that maybe you had about a film or a character or something like that? It should leave you feeling like proud of yourself for watching it, I guess is like how I feel about it, you know? So that you can say to someone, hey, did you know that such and such is this, as opposed to, you know, did you hear that this and this is gonna happen, you know? So I guess that's the challenge, is what can I dig through? What can I discover that's different and new to like give, you know, to give substance to the video?
So I'd like to add that a really important thing to really do going into making videos is to really just have fun. If you're not having fun, then what's really the point? If you're forcing yourself to make your content, then really at the end of the day, it's just your viewers are going to come across and they're going to see that. So it's really important that you're enjoying what you're doing. And something that's kind of unique for us, kind of a trouble, is that he's from England and, you know, I'm from the States here. So we have to kind of bounce around time zones. We have to constantly work through communicating just with words on the screen on our computers. So that's been kind of a challenge, but I say we've handled it fairly well over a few years.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, the time difference is beneficial, because if some news comes out and it's 3 o'clock in the morning for me, he's still got some time before he goes to bed. I'm already half asleep, or completely asleep, hopefully. So he can make the video and then get it released next morning, rather than I start the video and then release it either the end of the day or the next day. So if anything, you know, it's a bit of a challenge, but it kind of is beneficial towards the channel.
Yeah, there's pros and cons to that.
I also want to add, having fun with making videos is also like really important. I can't remember if it was called the 1,000-hour rule or the 10,000-hour rule, but basically what you do is do something you really love doing in your free time for like 1,000 or 10 hours, and after you fulfill that amount of time doing whatever it is that you love, and you're still satisfied with it, then by all means, let that be your passion.
And earlier you were talking about like dealing with different time zones, and me as someone who loves making podcasts and interviews and reviews where I get to just sit down on Skype and just talk with my best friends over whatever movie, TV show, comic, what have you, it's always a bit of a challenge trying to deal with all these different time zones. Back when I was still doing the Sons of Sarazawa podcast, which is, you know, currently on hiatus, we were pretty much, it was like 4 or 5 and then eventually 4 individuals, all from different time zones. You know, Dylan's in, you know, Tennessee, Bill's in New York, David's in Las Vegas, I was in San Diego. You know, it's like all trying to find like the right time. So occasionally there's misunderstandings, and you know, people think that podcast is going to start like an hour or 2 beforehand. And then things got even more challenging when I eventually moved to Japan, and so it's like my pretty much like their Saturday nights are like my Sunday mornings or afternoons. So it's like that was sort of like the magic period of time. It's usually like my Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday mornings then all of a sudden became like the only days where I was available to do collaborations with all of my friends. But even still, just like you know, several of you guys have also mentioned, just having fun while making the content makes it all worth it. And yeah, that's definitely one of the biggest advices I would give, is that, you know, if you're being a YouTuber, is that as long as you're having fun making the content, that's, in my opinion, what really matters. I know there are people out there that try to make a living off of YouTube, and it can be trying to maintain that weekly or monthly revenue has become more difficult than ever before, be it with copyright claims, demonetization, the YouTube algorithm not spreading your videos out to as wide of an audience as it could be. It's all very challenging. But I guess for me personally, if you're the kind of person who enjoys taking your growing your channel at a very slow and steady rate, you know, I feel like you're able to enjoy yourselves while not having to force yourself to go through what many YouTubers like to call YouTube burnout. I'm sure many people you've heard many people on YouTube talk about, you know, YouTube burnout, going through, talking about mental health, going through a lot of stress, anxiety, even depression. It's a really serious problem because, you know, it's the YouTube system and algorithms pretty much trying to like force everybody to move at a much faster rate than ever before. And for me personally, because I don't depend on YouTube, I just mainly treat it as a hobby. For me personally, it's just like having fun is like the #1 priority for me. If I don't enjoy it, then what's the point of even making it, you know, for me personally? And that's usually the sort of mantra I usually stick by when it comes to making content for YouTube. And you know, it's something that I've enjoyed ever since.
So for like challenges that we face or that I face as a YouTuber, I'll start with the easy one. My approach to making content, I just try and make the videos that I would like to see. That's what I try and do. I don't try and pander to people. I mean, obviously I'm a Godzilla fan, got lots of Godzilla fans who watch me, and yet I openly root for Kong to win in 2020. I understand.
You're not a true fan. You're not a true fan. If you're gonna get to him, you're gonna have to go through me. Oh wait, you're already next to him. My bad.
I'm in the middle of both of this. Stop.
That was a joke, right?
What's a joke? Con for 2020? That is absolutely not a joke.
Con for 2020. Hashtag Con for 2020.
That been
right now.
fighting words, you hear?
Sorry to the Nari King Kong for the win.
It's like, I don't try and pander to people. I don't try and tell people what they want to hear. I try and make the videos that I would want to watch, and I don't want to be pandered to. So that's what I try and do. In terms of challenges, I think time is really just the biggest challenge that you face when you're doing YouTube. I do it as my job, so when you're doing it like I do it, and you have to take it really seriously, time is the biggest thing you're going to face as a problem. It's like when you go into school, or like when you're taking certain classes, your teachers will tell you, well, don't sign up for this class because it's gonna, you'll have to learn time management. That's gonna be a big deal. Not a single class I have ever taken taught me time management like working YouTube did. YouTube is just like changed my world in terms of understanding how things work, and everything I do takes so much more time than I think it's gonna do, and I'm trying to get better, so it's just always a battle with time. That's the biggest thing I've learned.
Don't compare yourself to others. There are all sorts of different kinds of YouTubers out there. Do not compare your creative endeavors to other people. Follow your own path, forge your own path. It's something that every filmmaker, every content creator is going to need to learn at some point. And everything that these guys have been saying, love what you do what you love. I mean, it's pretty much it.
Okay, so I didn't think it would take this long to get to however many questions I had in mind. So with that being said, we're going to go on ahead for the special presentation of Walking with Godzilla by DangerVille.
Godzilla's gonna walk the floor with Kong. King Ghidorah killed the dinosaurs?
King Kong won in 1962.
Does Ghidorah have 3 heads? How does King Kong like his eggs? DangerVille, how many toes does King Ghidorah have?
That's our next video.
Are there at least 10?
So the monitor's not coming on right now, so we're gonna try to figure that out, I guess, really quick.
What's your opinion on KaijuNoir?
I was gonna ask that! Well, you see,
That panel's over there.
yeah, otherwise we're gonna get cancelled. I'm gonna find a dude who manages the projector, so give me a little time. You just keep talking, or ask some questions, or do you?
Okay, so while they get everything set up, do we have any questions? I saw you first, so go on ahead. Yeah.
What do you think that your Kong has a genuine chance of winning next year?
Absolutely, because he's going to.
Hey, if Kong beat him once, he can beat him again.
Damn right.
It was a tie!
No, it wasn't.
Well, you see in the Japanese version, Godzilla.
Okay. You. One. Yeah, you.
This one's for D-Man. When are we gonna get Hot Sauce Part 2, and when are we gonna see you in the Monsterverse?
There, hopefully, fingers crossed, will never be a Hot Sauce 2, because I don't want to endure that again. As for the Monsterverse, it's whenever that Get D-Man in Godzillaverse competitions notice, man. It's up to them. It's not on me.
Okay, the one wearing the very sick Return of Godzilla t-shirt.
What are your guys' potential thoughts on the potential Toho reboot series?
Thoughts on the potential Toho reboot series, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, you can go.
I can tell you right now, those movies are farther along than you think. Everyone plans at least 5 years ahead, and what you can do in those 5 years is a lot more than what we used to be able to do. Remember, it used to take like 3 to 4 years to make one film? How many Marvel films do we get in 5 years? Quite a few. Trust me, you're gonna be hearing something soon. I don't know exactly what, but they are farther along than you think.
Or I guess you could say far from home. Kid in the yellow up front, right there. Yeah, you.
So what do you think Godzilla vs. Kong is going to reveal at San Diego Comic-Con? Like a trailer or Star Island?
Destroyer! Is Warner Brothers even going to be at Comic-Con this year?
So that's the thing is, Warner Brothers isn't having an official presence there, so if anything, we will get unrelated still images coming out to coincide with the convention, like what they're doing with Wonder Woman, rather than actual presentation at the convention. I still, fingers crossed, you know, I'd like to say that I'd love to see a trailer, but we're not going to see a trailer. If we didn't get still images this weekend, we're not getting a trailer next.
We will see still images of King Kong winning.
We'll probably get like a very nice poster of like a very slick logo, and that's it.
Are we in Nico? Yep.
Alright, this is for pretty much everyone up there. Have you guys seen the movie Constipation yet?
Oh my god, not again.
I must know about this.
Have you guys seen the new movie Constipation yet?
No, I haven't.
What is this? Constipation?
Is it PG content that you can describe? Can you make it?
So no one's watched it yet.
Can you make it PG? Your description.
No one's watched it yet.
Just tell us. Keep it PG.
Well, you guys haven't come out yet.
Okay.
That's a joke I think Shoma would like.
No, no, I would not.
It's a pun! You there, in the red Columbia shirt.
I've come to make an announcement that TitanGoji is not a mistake. What I come here to say is, can you recommend some Toku Kaiju anime that is not Evangelion, and is not Attack on Titan, and most importantly, is not the anime Godzilla film?
I think ranking
Gridman!
Did someone just say Tokyo Ghoul? Nice.
DangerVille is the best anime.
Thank you. I agree.
Do you guys want to think I feel like I'm just hogging it?
You're hogging everything.
Sorry. I'm the reason you're here.
Yeah, nobody talks to Jesus that way. Disconnected in the screen.
Alright. Yes.
As long as no one gets hurt in the making of that movie.
Only if someone gets
I know, it's the best part.
Okay, so
I think we're ready.
hang on a sec. The question was, should Pulgasari get a reboot in North Korea? And I said yes.
In North Korea. Okay, I'll watch that.
Wait,
As long as no one is kidnapped. Sure, no kidnapping.
They've already got a giant monster.
Wait, so is everything ready?
I think it's ready. He's in charge of the lines.
Sorry to cut all you guys short if you had questions, but if you still have questions, feel free to stop or stalk us after the panel. So, yeah.
Who's closest to the lines? Where's the light switch in here? That's the questions.
Let there be darkness.
Let there be dark.
Does anyone know where the light switch is? Okay.
And the second button from the top.
Second button from the top.
TitanGoji, the stuff of legend, a myth derived from even the earliest of man. This creature is said to grow up to 400 feet tall with a length of 600 feet.
Yeah, whose voice is that?
This creature has evolved a thick hide that can keep itself warm in the glacial climate of the Ice Age. But it didn't come from a world covered in thick snow. No, this species is much more ancient than any terrestrial organism around in the Pleistocene era. Let us go back 65 million years to an era where the Gojira specimen thrived. The Cretaceous period, the last era to see walking and breathing non-avian dinosaurs. This male Gojira specimen is still young, and he's still growing. For him, the climate is a toasty 35 degrees Celsius. But thanks to how well adapted Gojira is to extreme climates, this creature doesn't feel a thing. TitanGoji doesn't eat meat for sustenance like traditional animals. The only reason Gojira would ever eat would be because it likes the taste. The species has fed on countless wildlife throughout the generations, and this specimen has a taste for Tarbosaurus. To feed on whales, sauropods, and other giant monsters. Though other monsters do also have a taste for Gojira. Instead, Gojira harnesses energy from the surrounding radiation, similar to photosynthesis found in plants. This way, it doesn't need to rely on the existence of other animals and can stay solo for thousands of years. Though Gojira is still an apex predator and has evolved extreme reflexes and can sense vibrations coming from miles away. And right now, he senses something. A male Hokuto, desperate for food, tries his luck with Gojira. also allows smaller organisms to coexist, such as this species of pteranodon that feeds on the ticks and insects that thrive on Gojira's body. But right now, the pteranodon sense a disturbance in the atmosphere. Something catastrophic is about to occur.
What do you think that meteorite is, eh?
Monster X!
It goes
Definitely Monster X, I know.
Obviously, Gamera. What is a Gamera?
It's Ichiro.
Okay, it's not Gilama, sorry. Okay, so before we wrap everything up, do we have any anything you guys want to share before we close everything?
Let's see. So, well, I guess recently I was able to self-publish a giant robot versus giant monster comic called Primal Warrior Drake Lazul. Covered by none other than Jeff Zornow himself from IDW's Godzilla comics. Have it available on Kindle, digitally on Amazon, and currently working to get more physical copies released via Amazon as well. If you want to know more information about my indie comic, you can check out on Facebook Primal Warrior Drake Lazul, or you can follow me on Facebook and YouTube under the name KaijuNoir.
We have 2 minutes, make it quick.
I love you.
I hope to see you guys all here again next year following the crushing defeat of Godzilla at the hands of Kong.
Kong loses 2020.
Please collect responsibly. And everybody, you could have chosen to spend your hour buying more merch, but instead you chose to spend it with us. We value your time. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so I started promoting this in the beginning of my videos lately, but I have a TeePublic where I sell T-shirts. I'm actually accepting orders for T-shirts right now, and after G-Fest, I will be uploading a new T-shirt design, that of Orochi, based on the film Orochi the Eight-Headed Dragon. It has 3 variants. There's the standard variant, the cosmic variant, and the demon variant.
I was not aware of this.
Not my problem.
Buy it.
Please, I'm a struggling college student. Okay, so that about wraps up the Godzilla YouTubers panel. Thank you all very much. I also want to give a very big special thank you to my panelists for wanting to be part of this. Thank you all very much. Wait, I'm so close.
And remember, everyone, don't skip ads, click ads. We all appreciate the revenue.
Yes, watch the ads, please. Turn off your ad blocker.
Yes, open another window. For God's sake, let it play. I mean, Godzilla's sake, for God's sake. I mean, it was a missed opportunity. Forget it, we're done.
How much time you got?
Support local indie artists.
Your Monster Island buddies.
How could this happen? Alright, sorry. I'm sorry, but you don't know who I am.
I'm actually Louis.
The D-Man, I'm out.
Okay. Be a meme because I got the whole thing on film. Like that was like the best moment. These guys actually just like flattened me and Rich's panel last year. Actually.